Okay, we're just reconning hydrogen ions. Yeah, see, when you research hydrogen ions, they take you the same thing, H negative, Naga charge, right? But it's not just an ion, they really call them anions, my night. I just want you to get there so you know where I'm going with this. Drop it on a play. Anion is anion. That we, you know what I'm saying? Anion is mythical, right? Okay. And whatever this straight anion, how this flows, you know, it's bordering Queen Khalifa, so you already know something mythical, fountainy about it, you know what I'm saying? And there's certain areas that it's more charged up than others. And a lot of y'all left some good comments because we dropped some of this. If y'all really surfing away, y'all know we dropped a little bit on this ionized situation. I just want to bring it home with the anion. And maybe that's why they keep flipping it up, and maybe that's why it's so mythical. The hydrogen anion, Naga, negative Naga ion. It's a Naga ion. It's a Naga ion of hydrogen that is a hydrogen atom that is captured an extra electron like we just got. It's extra charge, Naga. And the hydrogen anion is an important constituent of the atmosphere of stars such as the sun. My Naga, ain't this natural? Natural, can you go ahead and take the wheel at this point, man? We need to hop on the ether bus, talk to Natural about some of this, you know, sun, star, charged particle talk, melanin conductivity, man. My Naga, you know what I'm saying? In chemistry, this ion is called hydride. So it's the same hydride that we was just talking about, where they say they call them hydride atoms or ions. The hydride ion is the anion. It has a Naga charge. Now we got to recon this Naga charge, right? Physical property of matter that causes it to experience a force when placed in an electromagnetic field. A force, my Naga. What is this drinking water? What kind of force does it have? You know what I'm saying? What does this anion have? This Naga charge have? Electric charge can be positive or negative. Like charges repel each other. Like charges repel each other, and unlike charges attract each other. Okay. I don't want to get too sciencey, but it happens when we start talking Prester John and the Marvels.
You already know what time it is, Shabbat. Ahab to the tribe. Peace of the tribes, man. I hope you're ready for this one, because we still charged up. So Ahab to the loved ones, man. We're going to go ahead and continue. Shalom. On another magical ride on the ether buzz. Shalom, Allahu. And you know we're digging on that Anion Regnum. That Anion. this is what we do. We come together. So gather around this campfire. Everybody come and gather around this campfire. Cause we got a wave to surf. Alright. This is strictly for the loved ones. So I would extremely appreciate it if no hijack be allowed. Because the instant we spot some hijack, it's out of here. Not for this flow, it's out of here. And I mean that direct and right away. Shalom to the real ones. We gonna continue. So I just want you to be able to meditate on what we're looking at right about now. You know, the good Ak is always showing us maps of Anian, but I want to basically let you focus, right? And just see like how everything's, or for what you can find recognizable. You see what's recognizable. And at the same time, you still see Anian. Alright, or at least this straight of Anian for this one. Pay attention to everything else, detail wise. We're just surfing a wave. Alright. And we've, definitely surfed the wave before. Sometimes we run into the press that, upon this magic ether bus, man. It's just what happens when you big wave surfing with the tribe. And it's always an amazing vibe at the very least, man. We know we're gonna get some drop. My bad. So, considering how we've done these before, this is always representing something, right? They're always letting us know specifically this was of, attention. It was a high interest. All right. Very inquired about. And that's usually never, just for no reason. This Anion Regnum, this kingdom. And I kept thinking, like, what's really being said, and as you should already know, surfing the wave with natural, it's when you surf the wave a certain way and get that vibe a certain way, you got to see it through. And that's kind of how this one is going to be. And I just want this to meditate on your mind, a little bit. All right. Very interesting. Sometimes we ask certain questions and the answer oftentimes is right in front of us. Shalom to loved ones, man. I hope everyone's doing well. I had to remind myself on the last drop we did, this is from a book called The Lost Kingdom of Anion Regnum, where we dealt with the origin of the name Anion from this author's perspective. And it was a Welsh word with roots into the Celtic or the Celtic, meaning nature, temperament, and powwow. And I think that that's just really funny because we're really still within that same charge. So if Anion really means means your powwow, surfing the wave in the year of the Dracon, I see this as your natural powwow. You know what I'm saying? We're digging on your natural powwow. Hey, how to the loved one, man, to the good bro, to the good we just talking about your natural powwow. So Anion being the natural power, Enion being the natural power, the regnum being the kingdom. You're talking about the kingdom or the dominion of your natural power, Shabbat. Keep in mind, they're going to tell you that Anion is obscure. And we know what that means. Keep in mind, we know we flipped the maps, or they flipped the maps. We know that they flipped the maps. All right. So with that being said, you know, these terms are just terms that we happen to actually be very aware of. It's no secret. All right. It's no secret. And it's actually drop behind it when you're not so focused on holding on to just one perspective. So surfing this wave is going to be a beautiful one because I had to remind myself, you know what I'm saying? I'm listening to the Ak in this drop and I had to remind myself like, yeah, hold up. Anion, right? We talking Anion and we just digging on your natural power. That is your natural powwow. Allah. And we're just talking about the kingdom of your natural powwow. So with that being said, I want y'all to go ahead and surf the wave with a real one real quick, as we do on the Magic Ether Bus. Because before we get to the breakdown of the sciencey, I got to show you exactly the vibration. Today's presentation is just going to be focusing on vibration, and we're going to use the vibration of Anion to surf the wave. We're going to use the vibration of Anion to surf the wave. And that's exactly how I got to this point. So continuing on, hey, how to the loved ones. Let go. All right, so we're going to get this old little clip that I posted back way some time ago, surfing the wave on the IG. Let's peep what's going on. We surfing the wave. Let me make sure we got the volume on. All right. We surfing the wave to the real ones. Shalom.
That's why I'm willing to pay you $2,000 to take me to him.
I have only agreed to meet you, and I find it very difficult to believe that Spencer is... I have only agreed to meet you, and I find it very difficult to believe that Spencer has changed his mind.
I have but one argument for that. Gina. The savages. Je suis très touché. You recognize the stone.
Yes? Afro-Asian Aboriginals in the marble of West America.
It's taken me a whole year to...
Did y'all get what he said? We're going to get it back, hit the reset, and let's go. We surfing the wave in real time. Mind you, we were looking at where Anion was.
I have only agreed to meet you, and I find it very difficult to believe that Spencer has changed his...
right, on the map. Follow along, right? Surf the wave. Two things can be true at the same time. Surf the wave, right? Let's dig on it.
Mine. I have but one argument for that. Gina. Savages. Je suis très touché. You recognize the stone. Yes? Afro-Asian Aboriginals in the marble of West America.
Afro-Asian Aboriginals of West America. Afro-Asian Aboriginals of West America. And when we're digging on this Hebraic, so-called Hebraic, it's stemming from this Afro-Asiatic language family. It's coming from an Afro-Asiatic language family. All right. And we're talking the original frequency, man. All right. We're going to get it back. We just surfing the wave.
To take me to it.
I have only agreed to meet you, and I find it very difficult to believe that Spencer has changed his mind.
I have but one argument for that. Gina. The savages. Je suis très touché. You recognize the stone. Yes?
Afro-Asian Aboriginals in the marble of West America.
It's taken me a whole year to trace them. That's why I'm willing to pay you $2,000 to take me to it.
We're going to carry on to the next one. Shalom to the real ones. So see, this is something that I find a little funny as I'm surfing the wave, right? Because I'm realizing that as a so-called Gemini, I'm now having to fight and catch a certain fade with a synthetic Gemini, that is artificial, right? Through this Google, whatever this is. As you can see, I'm surfing the wave, and I asked about the Indians of Enion, and for some reason, it wanted to give me the Indians of Anian. And we're going to surf the wave on that too, but the Indians of Anian is not a recognized term in the context of indigenous peoples, as in Anian is not a known geographic location or tribal name. It is likely a misspelling of a fictional reference, but I didn't put that. I didn't ask anything about Anian or Indians of Anian. And now I know in real time, just as the good Ak was suggesting, there is something going on. And it's right before our eyes. Which only excited me more to continue, because now I'm like, oh, what don't they want us to know about this Anian, Anion, or Anion? If you're really surfing the wave, Anion, right? What about this Anion don't they want us digging on? If you meant to ask about Indians of the Americas, then the answer would be referring to the various Native American tribes that inhabited the continent, with their origins primarily stemming from the migration of people across the Bering Strait from Asia. However, without further context, it is impossible to definitely say what Indians of Anian could refer to. Now, all of a sudden, there is an Indians of Anian. But they just said up here it's not a recognized term. And this is exactly where we catch the hijack. So just remember what that clip was saying. We're talking about the Afro-Asiatic Aboriginals of West America. That is your kingdom of Anian. Shalom. Alright, so surfing the wave. Like I was saying, building on will be, it'll be based in vibration. We're just gonna keep it that way, all right? Because this is exactly how I was able to, stay on this journey and stay within this flow. And building like this always keeps me pure water. So by vibration, what I mean is also the word, right? Because as you can see, the term is really my Anian people, right? My Anian people, or Ma's Anian people. And when I'm now asking Hawa, I'm asking Hawa certain questions, and I'm now starting to get certain answers. And I'm just surfing the wave with the real ones. So I'm like, what? My Anian people? And it made me just want to check out who the Anian people were. These cousins snatched away, shipped away long ago, who knows, right? I mean, they could have no connection whatsoever. Still makes me interested to see. I thought, why not? So we can see that the Anian or the Anian people are indigenous to Borneo. Alright, they're indigenous to Borneo. And considering that, let's see what else we can get. It says the independent state of Sarunai, established by the Ma Anian prior to the 12th century, flourished in southern Kalimantan. The kingdom suffered two major attacks from the Majapahit forces that caused the decline and fall of the kingdom by the year 1389. The attacks are known as the Nansaranai Yusak Jawa, meaning the destruction of the Sarunai by the Javanese or the Havanese. Alright. In the oral accounts of the Anian people, or the Anian people, these attacks contributed to the migration of the Anians to the central and south Borneo region. Alright, so I'm like, oh man, is this in the vibration of Enion? Did this same thing happen to your Enion? Did this same thing happen to our Enion? It's making me wonder, you know what I'm saying? Since we're digging on the natural power, we're talking about your kingdom of natural power. They're talking about since 50 to 500 AD. It says the Anian or the Anian people or other indigenous people of Kalimantan closely related to the Anians were brought as laborers and slaves by Malay and Havanese in their trading fleets, which reached Madagascar by the 50 through 500 AD. That's quite wild. That's quite wild. So when we're building on this vibration of Enion, we're trying to see if there is anything else that correlates. Con? This is really how we just surfed the wave. And it looks like we've checked out what we need to. So of course, understanding this Anion wave and how they were drove out by these folks, this Maha Pahit. It made me want to, learn a little bit about them. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. We're gonna surf that wave. Hey, up to the real ones. All right, so here we have the Maha Pahit, right? The Maha Pahit. And I know we over here digging on the other side of the world, but keep in mind we were digging with so-called Asians, right? And we're just building in the flow and the vibration that is Anian. And these happen to be the actual people said to have attacked the Anian people. Now it says that they rose to power after the Mongol invasion of Java or Hava. Alright. So let's see the etymology. Their name derives from Javanese, meaning bitter, a bitter maha, right? And I'm pretty sure this is how people saw them, especially, they're coming in and colonizing an area that they weren't necessarily indigenous to. All right, so it means bitter, which is after a tree, a specific tree. So this is digging on some Khan war. You see the Kublai Khan. Let you know immediately this is a Khan situation. And the fact that I'm seeing dates for the 1200 lets me know it's not that far off. We're not talking some time ago. You know what I'm saying? So this is pretty recent. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and carry on to the next one. Shalom. Alright, so now we're digging on the Java. And it says that the name is not clear. I almost want to say that it means Hawa, right? Or that their name is Hawa in a sense. I'm not trying to... These could be a hijack. I don't know. I'm not sure. But if I'm just digging on a term through word etymology, I feel like we're talking about Hawa, right? Peep it. It says that it means distant or beyond. Alright, distant or beyond. Now keep in mind, I wanted to build in vibration. We're going to stay in vibration. So follow along with me. Here's a Proto-Austronesian root for the word meaning home. Okay, proto, which means before the Austronesian. Alright. Java meaning home. So this goes right back to the Java man, which they're giving linkage back to the so-called Homo erectus. And at this point, we're only talking melanated folk, right? We're just talking melanation, carbonation. So this Java was of the Zet Tepi. All right, so we're talking Zet Tepi type people. We're gonna carry on to the next one. Let's get it. Alright, so we're digging on Indonesia, since this is where all of this is. And, we just surfing the wave, right? We're trying to build in vibration. Indonesia being the Indian islands. We got this drop before, but we're just highlighting a little something. Indian islands. Talking about Indian islands in right, so now Indonesia has a shared history with so-called Homo erectus and so-called Homo sapiens. With these Austronesian people coming in much, much later, who are now the majority of the modern population. They migrated to Southeast Asia from what is now Taiwan. They arrive in an archipelago around 2000 BC, dodging all hijacks, and have confined the native Melanesians or Melanesians to the far eastern regions as they spread east. Alright? So here you have it that the indigenous Indonesians, the Javas, the so-called Homo sapiens, they were all here. Alright? And then sometime recently, these Austronesian people got there, and now they're the ones of the majority. And we have a series, going into, that very thing. Alright? Because this just wasn't something that just happened, based off the fact that it was America hijacking. Nah, this was a plan. Alright? And this was a global plan. Dodge your own hijack. Alright? A global plan. Alright, so we're surfing the wave. I just want to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Again, we're just digging on Indonesians. We're going to carry on. Alright, so here we have the Austronesian peoples. And we can see that the Austronesians are like your Asiatics that are in the Southeast Asia area that aren't necessarily, seen or referred to as the Negritos and the different darker types of the area, but nonetheless still have a great deal of this ancient ancestry, right? Especially when we're talking about the Zet Tepe. Though I think a lot of these groups, depending on which areas like, New Guinea and further down southern east, they actually do quite similar things that one can say is experienced over here in the United States when it comes to how they look and racism and that sort of thing. But when we're talking about the beginning of who these people were, it seems as if, this was part of this expansion of humans, right? A lot of this has Zet Tepe vibes. So, I'm just trying to figure out what's really happening when we're digging on this Anian flow. Because why would these people, want to take out the Anian kingdom, the Anian tribe, the Anian people of Southeast Asia? Alright, and it's just something that I was surfing the wave with, because a lot of this Austronesian vibration carries all the way up to the Pacific, so to speak. They go up that far. Depending on which wave you surfing, right? So we're talking about the Indo-Pacific, and it says the Paleolithic populations that had migrated earlier into maritime Southeast Asia and New Guinea. Further, it is claimed that this people reached as far as Easter Island to the east, Madagascar to the west, and New Zealand to the south. And at the furthest extent, they might have also reached the Americas. And when you go, along the coastline, you can kind of see, especially like toward the Washington area, you get to see, some of this vibration. So it just makes me think, when we're digging on Anian people were we far off, right? So we're gonna go ahead and carry on with this Anian flow. A-hop to the real one. So continuing surfing the wave, I realized this Anian is still Anian, right? Anian. We're still digging on Anian regardless. And you know, of course, when you dodging all hijacks and you just surfing the wave, you can pick up a lot. And something that stood out to me a lot was Anian attached to this term from Benin, which led me to Dracania, right? Or Dracana. And I was like, what is this Dracana flow? So, you know, I'm surfing the wave with this Dracana flow. And I'm like, what is that, right? What is this Dracana? What are we talking about? Because I know what it sounds like. But what is it? And I continue to surf the wave and I come across Dracana plant. And I'm like, Dracana plant? And, you know, digging on etymology like I always do, I see how it means female dragon. Dracana. And I'm like, wow, we can't make this up. Anian flow dealing with female dragon. Now, in the last couple of builds, we were basically unraveling the fact that Eve was settled in the so-called West. Eve was settled in the so-called West, right? We're digging on Queen Califia being in the so-called West. Anian being in the so-called West. This Drakina, it's put me into the same vibration. And I was just like, dang, right? So, you know, I continued to surf the wave and I found this. Dracana Americana. Dracana Americana. Dracana Americana being the Dracon for American, right? For the Americans, the Lady Dragons. And I was just like, man, you can't make this up surfing the wave with Anian. You know what I'm saying? This is just what I mean, though. When you really surfing the wave, things can get amazing. So I'm just like, all right, we dig it on Lady Dragons now. As you can see, Central American Dragon Tree. And look at everywhere, you know, everywhere where it's at. It's also called Candlewood, right? And it is native to Mexico, Guatemala, Panama, Honduras, Belize, Costa Rica, and Colombia. Dracana. Dracana, right? Dracana. The Lady Dragons, right? So that's for all the aquas, the MHOEs. That kind of tripped me out. The American Dracon. Alright, the American Dracon. Digging on this American Dracon, what happens to be a tree. You know, I'm like, what is this candlewood? They said it was a candlewood. And it's a small evergreen to medium-sized tree. So it's always natural. This type of tree is always natural, evergreen, always green. The bark is a gray, or what they refer to as reddish brown, which becomes darker. You know, and I'm always saying you're synonymous with your trees, right? It says the simple, alternate, shiny leaves. I mean, amazing, right? Shiny leaves as the dark green leaves. Alright, the dark green leaves. Okay, it's synonymous with reddish. So we're just getting the physical attributes to this said tree, like we did in the past couple of drops. And we're digging and building in this Anian flow. This Anian flow. So if you're surfing the wave, we're gonna go ahead and continue on. Let's see what else we got. Shalom. And they say that this is a song right now. If you a real wave surfer, you probably seen almost everything that I'm gonna mention. Cause our good Ox been doing this for so long. He just gave us PJ 150, man. He said he's still pressing the envelope. He's still pushing the envelope. He just dropped 150 on us, man. So I'm already knowing the bros already mentioned. But it's interesting how we're surfing the wave. We're still in the vibration of Anian. And here we have this poem, right, by John Donne. And let's catch a little bit of it. It's called Hymn to God, my God in my sickness. Cause you are the image of Hawa, my tribe. And we're just on the vibe of Anian. Since I am coming to that holy room, where with thy choir of saints forevermore, I shall be made thy music as I come. I tune the instrument here at the door, and what I must do then, think here before. Whilst my physicians by their love are grown, cosmographers, and I their map who lie flat on this bed, that by them may be shown that this is my southwest discovery. Per fratum fabris, by these straits to die. I joy that in these straits I see my west, for though their currents yield return to none, what shall my west hurt me? As west and east in all flat maps, am I one, are one? So death doth touch the resurrection. Is the Pacific Sea my home, or are the eastern riches? Is Jerusalem, Anian, or Magellan and Gibraltar, all straits and none but straits are ways to them, whether he or whether where Japheth dwelt, or Shem or Ham or Shem. We think that paradise and Calvary, dodging all hijacks, cross, and Adam's tree stood in one place. Look, Lord, and find both Adams met in me. As the first Adam's sweat surrounds my face, may the last Adam's body blood my soul embrace. So in his purple wrap receive me, Lord, by these his thorns give me his other crown. And as to other souls, I preach thy word. By this my text sermon to my own. Therefore that he may raise, the Lord throws down. And we're digging on this Anian wave, right? The fact that this vibration of Anian is exactly the same vibration we were digging on when it came to the Anian in Southeast Asia. And he's putting this Anian as the straight, maybe where Jerusalem could be, next to the Pacific Sea. We're just surfing the wave. Shalom. We're just surfing the wave, right? Shabbat. The hope of Israel. And what Spinoza means by the Ethiopian. Alright. And you know, the hype has been going on about this, right? But did Spinoza consciously or subconsciously mean something more than black man or Negro when he referred to the scabrous Brazilian which haunted him in his waking dream? Alright. Prolific Rabbi Manasseh ben Israel, who was intimate to Spinoza and his family in 1650, published The Hope of Israel in both English and Latin in response to increasing fervor over the report that the Portuguese New Christian Antonio Montesinos during his travels to South America had discovered those of the lost tribe of Reuben. Now you know that that's always gonna get them hype, right? The lost tribes of Israel and them being found. So this is being mentioned as we see with these Negroes, right? He's correlating them to the indigenous of America, these lost tribes. So see, we just surfing the wave, alright? We're getting a drop for what it is. So shalom to you. Surfing the wave right here with this flow. The thing about surfing the wave right here with this flow, that is Drive Nation, is that we just gonna make them tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna make them tell the truth. That's all we want. Now dig on this, right? We're talking about Chinese Jewish Institute. Now it's crazy. They was talking about some Negroes, right? Some black Negroes out of the tribe of Reuben. And it just so happened to be that this website is talking about Chinese Jewish Institute, as in Cathay. Again, we're building on the vibration of Anian, right? Enion. Says by the middle of the 17th century, many believed that the kingdom of God was not far. Accordingly, scholars probed deeply into the Hebrew scriptures to look for messianic prophecies. Hebrew became such a crucial and popular language that in a letter dated 4th of July, when you dodging on hijacks, right, in 1577, Richard Wills, a Jesuit and a geographer, wrote to his sponsor that the Countess of Bedford nowadays who studieth not the Hebrew language. So he's asking, like, who studies not? Like, that's how popular it is, right? It was believed that the second coming would be heralded by the Jews stepping forward as the quintessential protagonist, that is, the Messiah would arrive only after the Jews having first been scattered from one end of the earth to the other, and have gathered together in one place and accepted no hijacks. So we see how they're connecting, this lost tribe to Reuben. Many different takes, right? We see right here that this was an age where many Christian scholars believed the discovery of the New World, when it's really the Old World, but the discovery of the New World would inevitably lead to the clarification of the whereabouts of the 10 lost tribes. Now that's interesting. We jumped from just the tribe of Reuben to now 10 lost tribes of Israel. Some claim that the American Indians might have descended from the northern Israelite kingdom, who in the 8th century BCE were scattered by their Assyrian conquerors. Alright? And you should know what time it is, surfing the wave. We're just building on Anian, right? And because we're building on Anian, let's get it. It says, based on the story told by Antonio de Montesinos, the book of Isaiah, in the report of a Jewish colony in China, Rabbi Manasseh came up with the story that shortly after the Assyrian destruction of the kingdom of Israel, the Jews first went to China, more specifically those from the tribe of Reuben. They out of Tartary, now keep this in mind, right? Surf the wave. They out of Tartary went to China by that famous wall in the confines of both, and from there they went to the West Indies by the Strait of Anian. Subsequently, the natives of the East Indies defeated the Israelites and pushed them into South America, where Montesinos found them. The discovery of the Jewish colony in China made this story wholesome. It confirmed the dispersed Israelites did indeed pass through China, and China was a stopover for them on the way to America. So here we got these supposed Israelites who happen to be Indians coming out of Tartary, crossing through the Straits of Anian. They're Chinese Jews. You see how all of these things are in all these different vibrations? But when your orientation is exactly how it should be, it all comes together as your indigenous drop. And that's exactly why we surf the wave with Anian on the search for the Preston. So shalom to the tribes. Allahu Akbar. Now this is a good This book is called A History of the Geographical Discovery in the 17th and 18th Centuries by Edward Hewood. Alright. And we're digging on the fact we're still digging on this Anion flow. But I want to, like I said, pay attention to the whole Tartary thing, right? Because I'm seeing certain things that we made mention of before, like Siberia. This term right here, we got Tartar chiefs, and now we're talking Khan. All right, so this right here is highlighting that back and forth Khan on Khan action, right? That mix and mash. Maybe not in the same light that you're used to seeing or hearing from, all right? Now let's peep it. It says, the history of the notions then current with respect to such a strait deserves some attention. During the greater part of the 15th century, one of the problems which chiefly exercised the minds of geographers was the so-called Strait of Anian, supposed in some way to connect the Atlantic and Pacific, though the origin of the name is lost in obscurity. And you should already key in on this, right? Lost in obscurity. The idea is said to date from the voyage of Corterio to Labrador in 1500, which seemed to indicate the existence of a passage to the north of America. But it is remarkable that none of the early maps placed the Strait of Anian in this locality, but in the position of the Bering Strait as now known. It says it appears thus in the map of Zolteri, and in various other maps, some anonymous of the latter half of the same century, including that of Frostbiger. Anion also appears as the name of a country or the other side of the strait. Now that's pretty major, right? It appears as the name of a country on one or the other side of the strait. So it's telling you a whole lot right there. Because it's telling you it's the name of a country. That Anion is the name of a country. Alright? So we're going to carry on and continue. Alright, so we're still in that same book, right? And I want to bring your attention down to this part. It says, it was chiefly in the portion of the continent which lays nearest to Asia and was thus most in touch with events in the East Indies that the bounds of knowledge were extended, and here too, as in so many parts of the world at a time, the progress effected was mainly the work of Jesuit missionaries. Attention had long been directed to Abyssinia through the fame of its Christian potentate, erroneously identified with the Prester John of earlier times, who was in reality an Asiatic prince. Right? So the Prester being an Asiatic prince, you really know priest king, because we dodging all hijacks. Right? But we're talking your Prester. And we just got the Abyssinia, and we just picking up from where we left off, right? We still talking part 4 on you. Alright, so now that we got that, alright, now that we got that, we spotting the Prester as an Asiatic royalty. Remember that clip that we got where he found the Afro-Asiatics of West America? Alright, so we're getting this correlation to Anion and Prester John being this Asiatic king, and Asia being over here in the Americas, as far as it being the true East. Still at the same time breathing West on it. So we're gonna go ahead and carry on to the next one. Shalom. Alright, so I hope you dodging all hijacks. We ain't got no time to play around. We just surfing the wave. Alright. Now we're talking about Upper Ethiopia or the Empire of Abyssinia. Alright. And we just talking that darkness on you. Talking about Prester John being the priest king to such a nation, that is your Ethiopia, right? Your Ethiopia. So, we're still digging on the pressed, man, on the pressed. Alright? And how he's referred to as this royalty. Of course, we're still talking royalty to the Naga. Alright? Because they refer to him as this great king. Of this mythical or mysterious kingdom. surfing the wave to catch him right in it. Because we can't make this up, man. This is for the real one. So let's continue on with this search. See, when we talking Prester John, when we talking Anian, you always got to talk a little chronology, right? After you got your orientation straight, you always got to bring up some chronology, because why would we take your word for anything that deals with the Prester that's dealing with Anian when your word is not even validated through the chronological timeline that's been kept? I mean, how old is America? You know what I'm saying? How old is America? Let's keep it a stack. The ox is already surfed away plenty of times to ask such questions, but it's still a question to be asked. Alright? It goes on to say that decided to share a few chronology related speculations of mine. Chronology is the science of locating historical events in time, they say. As it stands, the narrative complaint chronology is in total disarray. Below are my thoughts. I am not claiming that anything you see below is correct. I did notice a few particular details and ended up playing with some numbers. Alright. The thing that he pointed out was he will point out a few chronology number related coincidences that they will speculate a lot, because some things are perceived before they get substantiated by proof. I might fall flat on my face in the process. Could it be that both Americas were created, moved into their current positions between 321 and 529, or 321 and 529 years ago? This is not the main topic of this article, but it does serve as a decent clickbait headline. Alright. It says, here are some dates used. 1492, America, aka the New World, was discovered. 1700, Russian calendar reform. 7208, the creation of peace in the Star Temple, or creation of the world in the Star Temple. It's crazy, right? The 1st of January in the 1700, Russia awoke that day, not to the year 7208, but to the year 1700. During the years 376 through 476, the fall of the Western Roman Empire. In the year 1453, the fall of the Eastern Roman Empire, aka the Byzantine Empire. And then in 1152, you have the birth of Jesus per Flamenco. 1,000 added years, or 1,000 plus. Some of us suspect that there was an extra 1,000 years added onto our historical timeline. It appears that the so-called Dark Ages were made up to supersize our history. Now, surfing the wave and coming from where we just did, what you think was really going on right about now? What you think they was really up to right about now during these so-called Dark Ages? We have Mr. Flamenco to thank for bringing the issue to our attention. For those marinating in this topic, the problem is undeniable. At the same time, there is no consensus on why this extra millennium might have been added to our timeline. Alright. So the contributing factors is the J, the I, the L. Right, and this all has to do with Jesus hijacking not just you, but your timeline. Alright, because it says naturally 1556 AD would not equal up to actually 1576. It says 1576 year is 1576 from Jesus or Jesus, right? And when you go ahead and you take away this I, or whatever being the case, right? You get that additional because it's representing the year of so-called Jesus. So this never was a 1. Could have been a J, could have been an I, but it never was a 1. Alright? And they got ads for everything. For everything. They're gonna let us continue. It was building. They gonna kick us out like that? That's cold. That's cold. Yo, they really just kicked us out like that? Alright. Well, look, they big mad at us. Yo, I can't believe it. It be like that sometimes when you surf the wave. It's already been past the 8 seconds. You wanna let us build? Good. Alright, so they're saying this is actually the I or so-called J, right? Because of the hook and so forth. Especially when you're looking at a 1 that looks just like this right here in the 170. It looks like a 1. When you get down here to 1587, it's all this extraness, right? And so history just gets done away with. I mean, we can accredit this and say this is just swag writing, right? But then look at the one right next to it. There's no swag at all. So, I mean, what's really going on? And it's just things you gotta ask yourself, you know what I'm saying? Is it really 1492 or is it just I? Furthermore, you don't know what time it is unless you're surfing the wave, you know? Unless you're really getting that orientation pie, because everything that they serve to you have just been lies. It's just been lies this whole time. We know. We know. So this is for the real ones to try. That is the people of Hawaii. Hawaii. Aha to the image. Max Aha from me to you. We're gonna continue on. Shalom. We're gonna get into some drippity drop. This video is called America Before Columbus. And hopefully we can do our thing, you know, without no heat, no slack. We're just sharing and observing. Witnessing what we call surfing the wave. A-hop to you.
Welcome. And today we're going to be looking at the ancient city of Norum Bega. But first, I wanted to share something that was shared with me by Paul Trausner, and thank you, Paul. It was a view of the old Washington Monument, and many of you may have seen my last video where I featured this photo that was an apparent proposed look for the Washington Memorial, and we see it looking very Greco-Roman in this photo. And I had posed the question of whether or not these proposed renderings may have been actual depictions of the time. And this morning I received a tip on this Washington Memorial in 1871. And here is a look. Now this was a postcard of Washington, D.C., again in 1871. And here we go. And here we see the Washington Memorial in the background and looking exactly as it did in the proposed rendering. And I'm sure we could find a better image of this now that we know it exists. But really remarkable. And how far along is this city? Because we already see signs of partial burial of many of these buildings, including this very Capitol building, as we can see here. And clearly the building being much lower, and as I've mentioned before, all of these buildings seeming very top-heavy. And really this picture gives us a good idea of what it may have looked like with this whole extra level that may have been ground level. And we can see older photos where these stairs have actually been added, just like in the Salt Lake City Temple, stairs added and complete hollowness underneath. And so how old is this building? And how deep does it really go? And what we can see here is the old windows being buried, eventually filled back in. And we can absolutely see the old window. And I was looking for a better photo of this that I've seen in the past, but really amazing. Now on to this Norumbega. Now I've never heard of this, and I'm very excited. Some call this a legendary Norse city in western Massachusetts. Norumbega is a legendary settlement in northeastern North America, which appeared on many early maps from the 1500s until American colonization. The houses were said to have pillars of gold, and the inhabitants carried quarts of pearls on their heads. The town of Bangor, Maine, embraced the legend in the 19th century, naming their municipal hall Norumbega Hall. In 1886, inventor Joseph Barker Stearns built a mansion named Norumbega Castle, which still stands on U.S. Route 1 in Camden, Maine. In the late 19th century, Eben Horsford linked the name and legend of Norumbega to supposed Norse settlements on the Charles River and built the Norumbega Tower at the confluence of Stony Brook in western Massachusetts. The word Norumbega was originally spelled Orenbega. In a 1529 map of America, the spelling Orenbega was originally seen in a 1529 map of America.
You see how all of this was here during this time, during this map, on these maps? You don't think the same thing is happening with Enion? You don't think the same thing is going on with Enion? Just surf the wave, you know what I'm saying? Surf the wave. 'Cause they don't want you to find out something that's dealing with this Anian. And Natural think he knows just the thing.
And the word is believed to derive from one of the Algonquian languages spoken in New England. It may mean quiet place between the rapids, or quiet stretch of water. Today the myth is merely reflected in such places named as Norumbega Mountains, formerly the Brown Mountains, in Acadia National Park. So let's have a little look at this Norumbega Castle region. And here it is. This is the region, and perhaps this whole area. And at a quick glance, we can see signs of older civilization. And since my computer crashed, I haven't loaded my Google Earth yet, but we really don't need to. We can see all kinds of intersecting roads cutting through forests and lots of unnatural seeming things. And this would be fun to do some more exploring. But the myth told us that they sailed through this great river, and here it was believed was the city, and a lot of underlying remnants, it seems. And here we can just get an idea of many of the maps depicting this ancient city. And what they're telling us is a fabled city. And what do you think? Depicting a monstrous castle. And is this all made up? Were these people simply amusing themselves? And here's a look at some remnants of this city. In this particular picture, they're attributing it to lost Viking settlements. Not sure if the Vikings were known for building towers like this. And regardless, this is clearly just a little portion of this building, or what's left of it. And
I told y'all and showed y'all buildings that look like that when I was in the Grand Canyon, and I realized, yo, what's really going on? You know what I'm saying? Took the knockers with me, man. It's in the channel. Surfed away. Find it in the channel. Took the knockers with me, man. Showed them from the tip of the top. You know what I'm saying? It ain't what they say. You can't find. You don't find something you build, right? You don't find something you build. So when you see those plaques and it's saying founded, it should say built. They don't.
little portion of this building, or what's left of it. And even here, the Norumbega Park, a famous pleasure resort in Boston, and perhaps a repurposed resort, just like the repurposing of the World's Fairs and everything else. And here a little look at this Norumbega Castle in Camden, and definitely looking a little top-heavy itself. And in this next section, I wanted to talk about Native Americans. And many of us have been looking at a lot of videos, and the question always comes up, what about the Native Americans? What do they have to say about this? If there were apparently civilizations already existing. And I live on a reservation, the Ute Reservation here in Utah. And for a while I've had the opportunity to ask many native stories and actually gotten very little responses to my inquiries. Many of the elders are no longer with us, and this was shared with me in a comment by Arian with a link leading me back to stolenhistory.org. And this thread starts out, did Cherokee Indians build the Greco-Roman architecture in the U.S.? Now, oftentimes we speak of the Tartarians, but how about some people that we actually know for a fact existed?
Now that's interesting that he would say that, right? That actually existed. Now watch the correlation. Watch the correlation. We're just surfing a wave with Anian. But watch the correlation. Mind you, we got the Tartary or the Tartaria, okay? But peep it.
Leading me back to stolenhistory.org. And this thread starts out, did Cherokee Indians build the Greco-Roman architecture in the U.S.? Now, oftentimes we speak of the Tartarians, But how about some people that we actually know for a fact existed, even though the historical evidence leaves no doubt in my mind of the existence of a Tartaria. But nevertheless, the Cherokee Indians were living in Western-style houses.
What? Dodge all hijacks at all costs, but yeah, we really wave surfing. Anian.
Know for a fact existed, even though the historical evidence leaves no doubt in my mind of the existence of a Tartaria. But nevertheless, the Cherokee Indians were living in Western-style houses. The Cherokee were living inside antebellum mansions before settlers turned them into plantations.
Antebellum mansions before settlers turned them into plantations. You getting a drop, my nigga? What? Are you getting a drop? Surf the wave.
Houses. The Cherokee were living inside antebellum mansions before settlers turned them into plantations. Now, if you remember the recent video I did on the Windsor ruins in Mississippi, isn't that exactly what we saw in that story? Beautiful Greco-Roman architecture found in the middle of a cotton plantation. And the story was absolutely ridiculous of a man who built this after accumulating a small fortune only to die in his early 30s. Just shortly before or after his death was the property finished. And it just seemed completely ridiculous. And here we are with a little insight on the Cherokee living in antebellum mansions before they turned into plantations. And obviously we know that the people were forced off of their lands. The man...
What? The people were what? Is this the same thing that happened to your Enion? Is this what happened to your Enion? We're just surfing the wave. We're just surfing the wave.
A little insight on the Cherokee living in antebellum mansions before they turned into plantations. And obviously we know that the people were forced off of their lands. The mansions look like Roman estates and are covered in pagan symbols and have murals inside. In the 1830s, the Cherokees were said to have been expelled from their property. And here the comment that all roads lead to Rome, Georgia. It's called Rome because the Cherokee called their land Rome and claimed that they were Romans. And here a plaque from the Georgia...
We cannot make this up. We cannot make this up. Stop. Make them tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Make them tell the truth. We surfing the wave. Let's go.
30s, the Cherokees were said to have been expelled from their property. And here the comment that all roads lead to Rome, Georgia. It's called Rome because the Cherokee called their land Rome.
Are we talking Rome or are we talking Romani? Are we talking Rome or are we talking Romani? Who's really surfing the wave though, Naga? We just shikamaga dreaming. We just shikamaga dreaming right about now on the road to the Presta. We surfing that Anian vibe, man. We surfing that Anian vibe right now. Let's get it.
And obviously we know that the people were forced off of their lands. The mansions look like Roman estates and are covered in pagan symbols and have murals inside. In the 1830s, the Cherokees were said to have been expelled from their property. And here the comment that all roads lead to Rome, Georgia. It's called Rome because the Cherokee called their land Rome and claimed that they were Romans. And here a plaque from the Georgia Historical Society. At this house's core is the log home of a leader of the Cherokee Nation. His 223-acre plantation supported numerous outbuildings, orchards, and slaves, while the family served as ferry boat operators and merchants. And it is here where the Treaty of New Echota in 1835 was drafted, which promised the Cherokee land and compensation for voluntary moving to Oklahoma. Their forced removal became known as the Trail of Tears.
Pay attention to what's going on, because we know. We know. What is Naga's telling you, and we know. We know. Let's surf the wave. Let's surf the wave.
New Echota in 1835 was drafted, which promised the Cherokee land and compensation for voluntary moving to Oklahoma. Their forced removal became known as the Trail of Tears. The chief knew death was imminent for selling tribal lands, but believed the treaty would save his people. He, his son, and nephew were murdered in 1839. And here, look at their home, of the chief's home. Not at all what we would attribute to a Native American home or a Cherokee. Here, his original home, and really a modest home, what we would expect the people of this time to be building, not the Native Americans, though. And they say it had a basement. Here's a little look at the basement. Some brick, some very large seeming block work, and even some cinder block. Not sure. And here, most interestingly, is a picture of this chief, painted by Charles Bird King in 1834. Ridge was part of the Cherokee and a group of young chiefs in the early 19th century. And they speak of the Cherokee as being a group that was all mixed races, but identified as Cherokee. And
Dodge all hijacks at all costs. At all costs. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit more before we go ahead and roll out. Shalom to the real ones.
4. Ridge was part of the Cherokee and a group of young chiefs in the early 19th century. And they speak of the Cherokee as being a group that was all mixed races, but identified as Cherokee. And interestingly, this article goes on to talk about how the major was involved in a lawsuit, a federal lawsuit, against being removed from the land. So he didn't go out without a fight. The Cherokee were filing federal lawsuits in 1820s and 30s in an effort to keep their land. And here the commenter is humoring that he learned in school, gunsmoke, and dances with wolves that the Native Americans did not speak English and lived in teepees so they could follow buffalo around. Not once did I hear or see them wearing colonial garb and filing federal lawsuits to keep their plantations and slaves.
And that's because it was a whole lot different, right? That switcheroo was a whole lot different. At that time, the slaves wasn't who you thought they were. And the people building weren't the people building, which is why people were able to move right on into something that was already going. And it's just as simple as that. We're going to get ready to surf the wave. I'm glad you enjoying this drop. We got a little more to go. Shalom. So when you get into the realization that everything was supposedly from the root, you know what I'm saying? That is the original, the primordial surfing away from that, it's like, all right, you can kind of get an understanding on just how much things then switched up and changed, right? And it was right in your face, right? But it's been so heavy. The hijack has been so heavy. Oh man, since when did they really start doing ads on everything? Just to let it surf the wave. Oh no. Yeah, we saw surf the wave, man. So I was trying to show you that to show you this. That the Americas have been popping off. The Americas been highly sophisticated. We have been dealing in that high technology. As you got in that drive, right? They had antebellum type style mansions that were turned into plantations. And a lot of folks don't even know that the Cherokee and the origin of pegmatites, alright, pegmatites, getting into minerals and elements. Alright, told you this was a tribal thing. Natural's gonna show you, Shalom, right? It says the pegmatites of the Cherokee Pickens district of Georgia occur in two major pegmatite fields contained within the late Precambrian to early Paleozoic and Mesosedimentary and meta-igneous host rocks. The regional metamorphism is characterized by kyanite, surfed away, right? Kyanite grave, Barrovian type facies, middle amphibolite facies. I don't even know what that is, right? The pegmatite fields or the holy springs and bog ground are located within separate thrust sheets defined by major northeast trending faults of the district and are separated by Alatuna thrust sheet, which is barren of pegmatites. The barren thrust sheet is anomalous in that the regional metamorphic grade is generally lower than the surrounding sheets. The Longia gold belt coincides with the Alatuna thrust sheet. The pegmatites of this district are genuinely cordant with host rock foliation along north to northeast trends and several exhibit internal zonation features. Right, and this pegmatite, there's some real spill stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the Cherokee did and have been doing what they need to break down these deposits and access them and then turn them into what will one day be batteries. Alright, so you think all of this was going on without the sake of knowing what your Anian was and what was really going down, why they were really searching for the Prester? You know what I'm saying? Pegmatite, right? Let's carry on. It says pegmatite or pegmatite is an igneous rock showing a very coarse texture with large interlocking crystals, usually greater in size than 1 centimeter. Now, if you remember from part 2, we were digging on this mica, right? Like ridiculous. And I was making the connection between how the indigenous was building on this mica. Now, this is just taking it like to the next level, all right? Because as we can see, these complex pegmatites are mined for lithium, all right? And there's a whole bunch of other stuff we're kind of not going to touch into right now, but we are building in vibration, and I want to keep this in mind because we're digging on vibration. The etymology for pegmatite means to bind together. We're going to have to keep this in mind as we surf the wave. Alright, so we're talking about crystal rocks, minerals that develop into lithium. Let's dig on what lithium is, right? Okay, lithium can be used for many different things, but we're talking about elements. Elemental chemical elements, alright? And I mean, look, there it goes again, these isotopes. We're gonna keep running into them now that we're talking the elements once again. Primordial elements. You see what's going on? Primordial. Now, we're not talking dark necessarily in this one, but you can never be in the build and not talk about that. All right. So yeah, man, we're digging on lithium. I know they use a lot of it to throw into batteries and such. We still talking energy. So these Cherokees had a big old understanding about how to develop energy from these stones, just like how we've been trying to tell you. All right. And this is how we generate our batteries of today, through these stones. All right. Let's continue surfing the wave. When we're talking about the naming of the Americas, and we're talking about just when it comes to these ancient maps and references, you know, we're talking about Anian and so forth, right? What was America seen as? Right? From early depiction. Now here we have that. We see one of the most earliest names is from Mercator, and he referred to America as New India. All right. New India. So this wasn't no foreign topic. This wasn't just out of nowhere. And they know that they were searching for the Preston. So we're going to pick this up. Let's eat the bus and continue to surf the way. Shalom to the river. So we was digging on this map a little earlier. We're going to go back to it a little later on, but I wanted to bring you here for the description that they had down at the bottom. All right. And it was digging on. It says this is a curious little map of North America. Covers the whole North America as well as parts of Europe and South America. This is a pirated 1797 reissue of Bowen's 1747 map of the same name. Whitley seems to have stolen the map and updated it solely by scratching out Bowen's name from the title cortege. Nonetheless, this map is cartographically interesting with much to recommend it. Shows North America in colonial times with a mishap in Florida and California. Lists the Apache Indians in the supposed Strait of Anian. Anian is a term derived from a John Donne poem, as in Anian if I go west by the Northwest Passage. However, it was misinterpreted as the Bering Strait by cartographers, successfully transitioning it from the realms of poetry to cartography. Anian presupposed the existence of a Northwest Passage and as such was entirely mythical, though the lands that are now Alaska long bore that name. Now that's crazy because it was already a part of these Americas, right? Of these lands before it was even attached to this hijack, right? So again, it's almost as if they're trying to get rid of this, right? It says, furthermore, we still find Quivira, one of the legendary Northern American kingdoms of gold. Much of modern day Canada is labeled parts undiscovered. It includes the fishing banks off Newfoundland and offers fairly accurate details of the Caribbean, prepared by Whitley for D. Finning's 1797 issue of a new and easy guide to the use of globes and the rudiments of geography. Alright, so it's always interesting to get these little notes, man, because we're just we're building on something specific. So now we got the Strait of Anian, and we're talking about Apache, so-called native Indians in California and Florida. We talking about home. Right now we're building on home. So let's see what else we got. Surfing the wave. A-hop to the beautiful loved ones. That is you 432. So see, like I was saying, we're gonna be dealing and building with the flow, right? Anian. Still Anian, right? Anian. Anja or Anha. Anian. It's interesting because it's still pushing the meaning for strength or power. Strength or power for Anian. Right? Anian. We still got Ama. We're still breathing Ama on you. We also have I. There's also inexhaustible. So see, surfing the wave with Enion, man, it's just been like, right on point, right within pocket. Alright, and these are just variations. So we're surfing the wave on the variation of Enion. Because we trying to really get what's being said, what's being proposed. And I'm starting to see a whole lot of powwow. I'm not gonna lie, Shabbat, I want to see a little more. So let's carry on. Shalom. Alright, so here we have this book called Before the Revolution, Americans' Ancient Past. Alright, and they have this bill mentioned in the Prester. Alright, and of course they're still talking about Chipangu and Cathay were semi-mythical, right? We're gonna explain why they keep throwing this mythical on there. But as we see, it says these places were no more and no less real in Western European minds than the realm of the Grand Khan, right? The fabled Indian Christian kingdom of Prester John. Alright, so we're digging on the Prester, we're digging on his kingdom, this ancient kingdom of Indians, historians, we just talking people of the faith, right? We're talking about the people of the book. We're talking that Hawa, the image of Hawa. Okay, in the areas of Antilia in high Brazil. And it was a part of the earthly paradise. That's how they saw it, as an earthly paradise. The sacred Jerusalem. Alright? This is how they saw the kingdom of Prester John. Alright? So we're just getting you used to this Anian flow. We're building you up on this Anian flow. We understand right here that he is the great Khan, the grand Khan, the fabled Christian kingdom. Alright? Let's carry on. And like I said, man, when we're digging on words, we always gonna get to that etymology. So guess what I ran into? I ran into the origin of the Strait of Anian concept. Origin of the Strait of Anian concept. This is where things get a little bit magnetizing for the Shabbatah, for a real one. Let's go. We surfing the wave. Alright, we surfing the wave. Let's get that back. What was that? Interesting. Shalom to the tribe. Ahab to the tribe. I hope y'all are feeling alright. Let's get it. It says the origin of the supposed existence of the Strait of Enion is one of the great geographical problems of the 16th century. Many writers have discussed the problem. Some have written almost wholly from the standpoint of American exploration. Others have written wholly with their eyes on Marco Polo and his travels. Still, others have written about the strait as a feature of Castellanian cartography. Some of the accounts of those of Bancroft and Call. Now that's funny, right? Call, I mean, considering how we just build off Cal, it sounds mighty interesting, are entirely superseded by the writings of Sophus Rouge and Christian Sandler. Since the strait belonged to that region where America and Asia faced each other, it is as much a part of the geography of one as it is the other. That means that the study of the Strait of Anion must not be confined to either the Spanish accounts of exploration of the Pacific in Western America or to Marco Polo's account of his travels. Equal notice must be taken of American and Asiatic exploration because the investigation of the unknown portion of the world proceeded as well from Asia toward the east as from Europe toward the west. American geographical conceptions had their origin in the blending of accounts of Asiatic and American explorations. A more comprehensive outline of this blending may throw considerable light on the origin of the conception of the Strait of Anion. The present writer has already pointed out how the two major sources of pre-Columbian Asiatic geographical conceptions were combined to form the ideas current in the time of Columbus. A resume necessary at this place for the sake of clearness and continuity will suffice. In the Renaissance, Western Europe, after 1,000 years of darkness, pay attention, after 1,000 years of darkness, pay attention, after 1,000 years of darkness, had turned back with reverence to study anew, to study anew, to study anew the works of the Greeks and the Romans. Now, surfing the wave, we just understood and made a connection to these Cherokees and these Romans. And in part 2, we made a connection between the Cree and the Greeks. Old world connectivity, all right? In geography, this means that the works of Strabo, Pliny, and above all, Ptolemy, belief in Ptolemy and his scientifically drawn maps became so strong as practically to exclude all other geographical concepts in regard to the 180 degrees he gave to the known world. The porcelain charts are not an exception to this statement because they omitted all latitudes and longitudes and hence presented no geographical theories of their own. The other major source of geographical information was Marco Polo. There were a number of other informants in regard to Eastern Asia, but he was by far the most important. The great eastern regions he wrote about was interpreted by geographers in the time of Columbus to be new regions lying beyond Ptolemy's farthest known east. The basis of this error lay in the facts that Ptolemy had represented more land as lying beyond his extreme known east, that Marco Polo's regions bordered on an eastern ocean that Marco Polo wrote an account of a 4 months journey westward from Kumbulak, which terminated. Terminated at a place called Anian. Pay attention, right? Anian, and which Marco Polo said was very near to India. And finally, because Marco Polo described the country far west of Kumbulak as a great silk country and the home of Prester John. As a result of interpreting these data, Ptolemy Sarica was identified as the land of Prester John or Tartaria. Alright? So the land of Tartaria was really the land of Prester John. Alright? Which is interesting because when you dig on these maps, you see Anian right up there next to Tartaria, and we got earlier that they was trying to, slide through Tartaria to get to these lost tribes of Israel. So this is very interesting because now we're seeing the home of Prester John is right here in India Superior. That is the Americas. Prester John, the Amaru Khan. So the land of Tartaria is something to work with because now we got something to build on. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and carry on. Shalom to the real ones. We're just surfing the wave. surfing this wave, building on the vibe of Enion. I was brought to this dude right here, and I'm not sure if you understand who this guy is. His name is William Blake. They say that he was a glorious luminary, that his works can be prophetic, and he's definitely impacted society, modern society, that is. Alright. And like I said, we're gonna go ahead and just take a look into exactly who he was, right? If you don't know, you'll know in a bit, just by his work. It was in this realization right here, Shabbat, where I was like, we cannot make this up, like for real, for real. And all I can say is Halahawa for the connection, the connection, that is cons amongst cons, the connection. So let's continue to surf the wave. Shalom. Now, dealing with this William Blake, he's really spoken in such a regard is quite shocking and surprising, because he tends to almost have like an occult type following, and people really revere and appreciate his work. When we're talking about Anian, they always are putting this mystical vibration onto it, and seeing how William Blake is a mystical mythologer. He's a Gnostic study, and he's applied these things that he's learned with this Gnostic into his works, right? His influences. And I find that it's a trip when I'm looking at someone talk about him, right? And make mention about who he is. And for some reason in this video, I'm not going to play it, but in this breakdown, he's talking about how William Blake was an anti-black abolitionist, right? An anti-black abolitionist. And he was, it was weird, right? But when he goes to say how he really didn't like certain things being said, and he tried to be this and that, this image pops up. And keep in mind the last drop we just came off of, right? Part 4 of this Kane series. I mean, we cannot make this up. So he's talking about a certain character that we're going to get into, Your Reason. And this character, Your Reason, that he's developed in his works and his writing, punishes the people. But the image that he has here is what's really tripping me out, because he doesn't talk about the people being punished in the work. He doesn't refer to who they are whatsoever, no identity whatsoever, yet he has this picture here as he's talking about it. Now, the little preview we're going to jump into doesn't have a picture of who these people are, but they have a name. And it's that name that we're going to connect to this picture, due to the fact that this guy breaking down who William Blake is just so happens to post this picture to explain the very people that he's talking about. And I just find that it's very suspicious that we happen to be surfing away for Anian, and Anian is no longer to be found. But this William Blake has to be surfing the waves too. Keep in mind, we're talking about the mystics and the mythical and all of that apply. So let's do what real ones do on the magic ether bus, and let's surf this wave above the firmament. Shalom. Now that we're digging on William Blake, he wrote a piece, right? This book. He wrote this book, and it's a mythology. And in this mythology, he's created this entity called Albion. And Albion is an albino, as you can obviously see, right? And he's being accredited as to being the prime evil man whose fall in division results in what's to refer to as the four Zoas: Urizen, Tharmas, Lava, Orc, and Urthona/Los. The name derives from the ancient and mythological name of Britain, Albion. Alright, Albion. So keep in mind, this is where Anian starts to pick up a bit of this mythological vibe, and I'm pretty sure it's due to this guy. It says, in the mythical story of the founding of Britain, pay attention, in the founding of Britain, Albion was a giant and a son of Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea. He was a contemporary of Hercules who killed him. Albion founded a country on the island and ruled there. Britain, then called Albion after its founder, was inhabited by his giant descendants until about 1100 years before Julius Caesar, or Julius Caesar's invasion of Britain, when Brutus of Troy came and defeated the small number of giants that remained, as a group of the giants had killed all the others. It says, according to another account, Noah's son Japhet had a son named Histon who had 4 sons. Their names were Francus, Romanus, Britos, and Alamanus. And the French, Roman, British, and German people are descended from them. Britos divided Britain into 3 kingdoms and gave each to one of his sons. They were Liguria, Scotland, and Cambria. The division of the primordial man is found in many mythic and mystic systems throughout the world, including Adam Kadam, or Kadmon, in Kabbalah. And we're right back to this Adam, right? So you see how we big surfing the wave right now. We big surfing the wave, right? We big surfing the wave. Now it says that this Blake got his influence from this right here. When I show you this, you're gonna realize exactly what's happened. And this is who this Albion represents, because when we're digging on this literally is the primordial man. And if this is the primordial man, this is implicating and basically suggesting where our hijack came from. This is our hijack. They took our image, the image of Hawa, and replaced it with them. And I mean completely to the core. Alright? And this runs hand in hand with these, Masonic lodges. This is exactly the kind of BS that they build on. Alright, so we're talking about Albion. And this Albion is a giant that then gives power to these 4 Zohas. We're dig on it. Peace for the real ones. So surfing the wave, man, I was brought to a variation of what this Anian could be, and I'm looking at it and I was like, nah, no way does this William Blake have anything to do with Anian. And it actually does, right? But I didn't necessarily get to the drop dealing on this Anian. It's about what's going on with the beings attached to this Anian that led me to the drop. Alright, and with that being said, I was like, nah, I really couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. And so surfing the wave, I was brought to this your reason. Alright, this your reason. According to the mythology of William Blake, is the embodiment of conventional reason and law. He is usually depicted as a bearded old man. He sometimes bears architect's tools to create and constrain the universe or nets with which he ensnares people in webs of law and conventional society. Originally, your reason represented one half of a two-part system, with him representing reason and Los, as in. Now it's crazy because this reminds me of like the Los is in Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles, the first part. This Los entity is a trip. All right, so it says that representing him, reason, and Los, his opposition, representing imagination. In Blake's reworking of his mythic system, your reason is one of the four zoas that result from the division of the primordial man Albion, and he continues to represent reason. He has an emanation or a paired female equivalent. Ahania, right? Ahania or Ania almost could be like Anian in a sense. Ahania, who stands for pleasure. In Blake's myth, your reason is joined by many daughters with three representing aspects of the body. He is also joined by many sons with four representing the four elements. These sons join in rebellion against their father, but are later united in the last judgment. In many of Blake's books, your reason is seen with four books that represent the various laws that he places upon humanity. Now keep in mind the type of human that was being referred, right? Because humanity, according to the guy, right, this dude, this is what humanity looks like. In this dude's book, this is what humanity looks like. So I find that very interesting, right? Plus, furthermore, when we're diving on his work, I mean, he's the guy that invented this. And if you guys know this picture, you know exactly what's going on. And you should know we on the neck of the hijack, man. This is why I said no more breaks, man. No more breaks, because we finally starting to get on them. You mean to tell me I'm surfing the wave with Anian and I'm finding out this? And you guys don't want me to think that they're fascinated with what we do? This is Blake's watercolor etching the Ancient of Days. This fool didn't put the Ancient of Days as this. And this is screaming at my pineal gland. My pineal gland is just raging right now, all right? It says in Blake's original myth, let's get it, right? In Blake's original myth, your reason, the representation of abstractions and an extraction of the human self, is the first entity. He believes himself holy, and he sets about establishing various sins in a book of brass that serves as a combination of various laws as discovered by Newton, giving to Moses, and the general concept of deism, which force uniformity upon mankind. The rest of the Eternals in turn become indignant at your reason's turning against eternity, and they instilled the essence of sin within your reason's creation. This torments your reason, and Los soon after appears. Los' duty within the work is to watch over your reason and serve as his opposition. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Surf the wave, though. It says, in terms of Blake's Orc cycle, your reason serves as a satanic force similar to Milton's Satan. After your reason defeats the serpent orc figure in the Garden of Eden, the orc figure in the form of your reason's son, Fuzan, battles against him in a story based on Exodus. You see what's going on? Based on Exodus. We cannot make this up. Surf the wave, because they're playing with us right now, right? They're trying to play with us. It says your reason as a pillar of cloud that hinders the Israelites. You see what's going on? That hinders the Israelites in their journey home. Where are they trying to go? Their journey home. Their journey home. The Israelites in their journey home is being hindered by this your reason. Your reason. You see what's going on? Battles against Fuzan as a pillar of fire that guides them by night. Alright? The pillar of fire by night guides them. Eventually, your reason is able to destroy his rebellious son and impose laws upon the Israelites in the form of the 10 Commandments, dodging all hijacks. Do you see what's going on, man? This is during the same time that they were making the maps for Enion. This is during the same time they was making those maps for Enion. And this guy writes this, and this is what they're doing to the so-called Israelites. Psalms 83. You know what I'm saying? Psalms 83. This also leads to a death of the Israelite society. Psalms 83, man. Psalms 83. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You are the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa, because this destruction of your society, this death of your society has always been the plan. It's always been the plan, but now Nagas is back. Nagas is back, and we surfing the wave with Anian. We trying to get back to the precedent. And it says, the Israelites under your reason are imprisoned in a similar manner to how they were under the Egyptians. Symbolically, the orc cycle describes how your reason and orc are part of one unified whole, with your reason representing the destructive and older essence, while orc is the young and creative essence. See what's going on? This your reason. This is that your reason. Taking hold of the Israelites as perpetual servants, imprisoning them and bringing a death to their society. This your reason, man. This is that hijack, right? So I'm thinking about Anian. I'm really like, yo, what's really going on? Because now I'm starting to understand the fascination. Now I'm starting to understand just what's happening, and to see that it's this, and to see that it's this. Like, I've been seeing this for quite some time. Always knew of the Masonic connection, but never knew what it was talking about. I never cared before. And now that I'm seeing it in my face, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Because this is being done to the Israelites. And this jabroni said this is who the Israelites were. I'm not making this up. This is literally in his video. This is literally in his video. I'm just surfing the wave. Alright. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on. A-hop to the real one. So here we have this etymology of Anian according to the Welsh. Alright. And then this is where I got the name from, because I'm digging on Anian and I'm like, I'm surfing the wave. But I saw this Anian, and that's when I looked it up. And when I looked up that Anian, that's where I got the drop, because we see Anian as an ancient arms, an ancient coat of arms. We see Anian, so we know this is an ancient vibration, an ancient frequency. It says that Anian, which literally means anvil, and connotes the qualities of stability and fortitude. Some experts also associate the surname Anian with the Welsh word Anian, which means upright or just. Upright or just. And then we got these different variations of Anian. Alright. We even got right here Anian the priest. And I'm like, is that the reason they don't want us digging on it? Because let that be another name for Prester John, Anian. Let that be another name for Prester John, Anian. You know, I'm really surfing the wave, and I'm just like, I can't believe they try to do us like that, man, in real time. You know what I'm saying? But we on the neck of these hijacks, because I'm surfing the wave with my tribe, my Shabbatai, my Shabbat flow, Anvil or Anvil. It is a heavy steel or iron block with a flat top, concave sides, and typically a pointed end on which metal can be hammered and shaped. Alright? Now it's crazy how we're also talking about, now look, we cannot make this up. Pete. We're talking about clouds, right? But not just that. Another term for what? Another term for what? Another term for what? Oh, we just surfing the wave. You know what I'm saying? But it's a trip how they threw in cloud right here, man. So as you can see, it's time to get into some words. Let's dig through these words like Natural always does, alright? Let's dig through these words. Shalom. So surfing the wave, man. I'm like, let's get the drop on these terms, right? Etymology. Let's get to it. And what I came across was, of course, what the good Ak was letting us know. A negatively charged ion, right? A negatively charged ion, which moved towards the anode during electrolysis. All right, electrolysis. Now this is crazy. We're gonna get to it, right? This is crazy. This is crazy. Pay attention. A negatively charged or negatively, right? Negative, because we're talking negative now. Anion to the negative power, that is your Naga power, because Anion is really just your natural power. We're talking about Anion Regnum, that is your natural power, your kingdom of natural power. Alright? So a negatively charged ion which moved towards the anode during electrolysis. It means to go up, going up, Anion, a thing going up, going up. That's why the bros always telling us, it's up, it's up. That's why I'm telling you, it's up, we up. To go up, to go up. What has natural been telling you this whole time? High sky society vibes. High sky society vibes. Up. We're going up. They looking for your Anion, but only you know where it's at, Shabata. Oh, we gonna get to it. Only you know where it's at, Shabata. You know what I'm saying? Because we just talking words on them. A node, right? A node. Now let's peep the vibration, because we're talking Anion, right? You remember how we started? Vibration. A node. Ways upward, right? Way upward. Way upward. Upward. Way upward. Where's the ether at though? Where's the ether? Upward, right? Up. Anna being the root word. Anna, Ani, Anian, Ani, right? Pay attention to that vibration. We're talking a way up of a word of uncertain origins. Uncertain origins. See Exodus. Can I make this up? Enion being related to Exodus. Alright? Cathode, cathe. We're digging on this in real time. You know what I'm saying? Real time. A node. We're talking an up, away. Right? A up, away. So-called path from the path the electrical current was thought to take. So we're talking about energy. Now I know this says Exodus, we're going to get to that, but let's continue to surf this wave on what they're trying to say. What are they trying to tell us? Okay? So way, when we're digging on way is the road or the path, the course of travel, okay? The space or the freedom of movement. So we're talking about a freedom of movement, a way of being. We're talking about a path, a course. You know what I'm saying? It makes me think of another word. Where this specifically is telling us course of life, as in habits of life, right? Moral, ethical, spiritual choices. You cannot make this up. Spiritual choices in course of travel, a way. So it is our way to find each other by making choices that connect us spiritually in this ether, this space, as we yearn and search for freedom. It is also to go, to move, to transport in a vehicle. We're really surfing the wave with Anion. We're really surfing the wave with Anion. The wave. Right? We're talking about a course of life. Some can even say a wave. A direction. This is Anion. Anion is a living. It is a way of being. It is a lifestyle. Anion is the lifestyle, my nigga. Anion also provides you a vehicle. And what is a vehicle? Any means of conveying or transmitting. And what has natural been trying to tell you? How to transmutate what? How to transmutate what? What have I been trying to tell you? How to transmutate what? We're talking Anion. Anion. To go, to convey, to bear, a conveyance, a carriage, transport in a vehicle, related to wagon. We're talking up. Where's the ether? Up. You know what I'm saying? Anion is the lifestyle. Anion is the way. Because when we're talking about transmit, we're talking about to send over, onward, or along, cause to pass or to go to another person or place. Across, beyond. Across and beyond. Now we were touching earlier how Anion in the beginning, you got to go back and get it. In the beginning, how Anion meant this very thing. It meant this very thing. We're talking about vibrations of Anion. We are speaking the vibrations of Anion. Transmit. A conversion. We're talking about across and beyond. Remember I told you to keep those words in mind when we were surfing in the beginning. across. When you dodging all hijacks, it just means what? From one side to another. We can't make this up. From one side to another. One side to another. Across. You see what's going on with Anian? You see what's happening with Anian? It means on the other side. A result of crossing. On the other side. Anian regnum. On the other side. Do you hear what's being said? Oh, you're gonna feel these vibrations. You're gonna feel these vibrations. Because we're building on the vibration of Enion. They're searching for Enion. They was looking for Enion. They've been searching for the Prester forever. And Natural's starting to think he knows where he is. I think I know where the Prester is. Because when we're talking about Hebrew, right, and Israelite, we just got from the drop, but it literally means one from the other side. One from the other side. Region on the other or opposite side. Alright? A biblical Israelite. A biblical Israelite. A biblical Israelite. That's what we're digging on. We're still building in Anion. We're not done. We're not even nowhere near letting off the hijack, because this all means the same thing. It all means the same thing. We're just building off Anion, because it all means the same thing. It all means the same thing. We're just charging on Anion. Halahuah. You are the image of Hawa. Halahuah. You are the image of Hawa, Halahuah. Spiritual choices, habits of life. We're just talking Anion on you. Anion, which goes up in the way with the anode. Anion, that is up. Anion, to go. So where are we going? We're going up. Nagas, you with me? We're going up. When they ask you where you going, you tell them up. Because it's over for that. Digging on beyond, right? It's still meaning the same thing. We're still talking Anion to you. You know, on the other side. From the farther side. You were the furthest thing away from these other lands. No wonder why they couldn't find you, Naga. You were the furthest away. You're on the other side. You were separated. You've always been separated, because you've always been the chosen of Hawa. Halahuah. You are the image of Hawa. We're still digging. We're talking far, remote, distant. See how we getting back to the east? Cathay. You see how we talking Cathay on them? Anion. We're still talking Prester on them. You see what's happening? We're talking far, remote, distant. Let's continue to build. Distant, standing or being apart from a given point or place. You were the furthest away. You were set apart. To stand apart, to be remote. Also to stand, to make or be firm. As in the starry firmament. Oh yeah, is that what we're talking about? Separated by an unspecified but large space. Talking about my Nagas, man. Remote. In the distant, apart, removed, not near. All of these is making the same thing. It's the same thing. Alright? Man, I'm gonna have to clear out some tabs, man. We're gonna have to clear out some tabs, shot by tab. But we talking about remote. We still talking distance. Yonder. Throughout. Up. As far as you can go. Up. Yonder. Alright, we're still talking Anion on you. What was the last drop about? Kal-El. That up and away. We talking about flight. It said that Prester John was the land of the Tartars. Prester John was the land of the Tartars. So now we understand all this Tartaria talk. But guess what? That was the land of the Presters. So guess who's tribing up on that? It's not the Tartarians. And we're going to show you why. Because everything dealing with Anian is to go up. But there's a little something that comes with this Tartar. And these words speak for themselves. It's like the ancestors always been telling us. We're going to continue on because we're nowhere near being done, right? We're talking about Tartar. Nasty, sediment, right? Disgusting stuff, man. Tartar. When you think of the term, it's disgusting. All right? It's the encrusting sides of wine casks. Disgusting. All right? The incrustation on teeth. Disgusting. You know what that look like, right? Plaque. You know what that look like. Tartar. Alright. And I know there was some cons too that was of this tartar flow. But I don't think these was the cons we was siding up with. Alright. These cons were the cons we was at war with, and I'll show you why. Because the experimentation was everywhere, man. Alright? It was everywhere. Tartar being related to boil up, to be in a state of ebullition, to bubble, to seethe, to swell, to be in an agitated state. Right? Boil when things get hot, a hard tumor, a swelling, the wrong type of going up. Alright, turbulent. Alright. Now it's crazy how turbulent is of liquids and cloudy impurity. It's also disorderly and unruly. Stormy. I mean, this is all vibrations attached to Tartaria. Alright? Which is why I said stay in vibration. We speak in vibration, we speak in Anian. Alright? Bewildered, to confuse as to direction or situation. To be perplexed, puzzled, or confused. Archaic wilder or wilder, to lead astray, to lure into the woods. To be wild, to bewilder, alright? To be wild. So instead of going up, they're bringing you back into being wild, into letting go of your Anian. Right? Because we're just talking about tartar. Another word for tartar was encrust. What is encrust? Disgusting stuff, right? To rind, crush, shell, and bark. Interesting. To begin to freeze, to form a crust. Now, why is this embedded into the term? Remember what I told you. Etymology is about the DNA of words. So you start doing the genetics to these words, and the story tells itself. We're talking about encrust, right? But what is rind? Rind is the bark of a tree or other plant. A crust, firmer outer coating or covering. Peel of a fruit or vegetable, so skin in a sense. So now we got a picture, because we know what crust looks like, especially when it's starting to freeze and form. We know what tartar looks like as it crusts. So if rind is skin, then we're now getting an imagination on what type of skin is being described. Alright, and it's not that reddish brown bark. It says as the crust of bread. Alright. Oh, here it goes. Look, as in the meaning or skin of a person or animal. So yeah, we talking about skin tone now. So we're talking about a crusty skin tone. Ugh. Freeze. It said freeze, right? To freeze, which is to turn to ice. Now, who you know turning into ice? Just randomly. Who you know just randomly sitting up in here turning into ice, man? Who's just sitting there turning into ice? To literally burn from the cold. To burn from the cold. Who sits there and burns from the cold? Who had experience to such things? Of weather to be cold enough to freeze. Burning coals. Live coal. It's hot, but it's cold. It's burning your skin to become rigid or motionless. This is all coming from tartar. Frost. Alright, we just surfing the wave. It says ice. Ice, as in a piece of ice of uncertain origin. I wonder why. We're talking frost, right? Icy, frost. The result of something freezing. Ice. Who's been in the ice that you know of? Freezing. Frost. A freezing, frozen precipitation. Extreme cold. Frost. Solid matter. Alright? Which was once a water state of the Wata, now just inactive. Burnt up. Right? Black frost. Which kills plants and turned them black. You see what's going on? Reversing the curse, right? Frost. Who has this experience, man? Who has this experience? Alright? Frost. Dealing on the cold. Related to ice. Not strong, affecting the senses only slightly. Cold. See, you're starting to develop a region, right? A certain aspect where it's just cold, unbearable. So cold that it develops a crust. A hard outer part of bread. Rind, crust, shell, bark. That which is hardened. To begin to freeze. Form a crust, outer shell of the earth, the outer shell of the earth. Crust, shell. Now we're talking shell and eggs, egg shells. It's getting pretty descriptive, you know what I'm saying? Now this is interesting, a piece cut off. Shell, scale, peel, rind, pod, rind, eggshell, tile. Interesting. To cut. You see how we get back to this? To cut. To cut. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? These words. To remove. To remove something from its shell. Alright? Is all connected to tartary. Tree skin, hard covering of plants. The native word was rind. It also is any small ship or vessel. It also is an utter abrupt or an explosive cry. especially from dogs. These Tartarians be barking, huh? We know how the dogs like to bark. Oh yeah. We know how the dogs like to bark. Again, we just talking Tartaria. We just talking Tartary, man. We know that land was Prester John's, Anian, but somehow Tartars got to it. We just talking crack, right? Make a sharp noise to give forth a loud, abrupt sound. That's interesting because crack is related to bark, crack. What? We talking the same thing, right? An explosive cry, especially of dogs. That's what it says. That's what it says, right? So digging on crack says the same thing. To make a sharp noise, give forth a loud, abrupt sound. Crack also means to burst, to split open, cause to break into chinks, change tones suddenly, to open a drink, utter and say, speak, talk freely. Something that's a split, an opening, a fracture. You know how your skin begins to crack? Your skin cracks up. Alright. See what's going on? Cracker. One who or that which cracks or breaks. One or who that which cracks. Alright. Yeah. You see what's going on. Also as a braggart, someone that brags to boast. Alright? So all of these things lining up in the same frequency as Tartaria. This word is also related to Tartaria because when we're talking about Tartary, now I know I use this description in the form of electricity, but what they have right here is just some wild out shit. I mean, they're talking about morbid secretion from a sperm whale. Alright, I mean, we're talking about death at this point. And the Tartars have a connection to this. You know, we were speaking Anian, we was talking about going up to lift up. You know what I'm saying? This is what they're talking about, Tartaria, to be morbid of disease and sickness, to be basically dead. You look like death. That's the description of Tartarians, to look like death. I understand the hijack, but it's over for that. This is the vibration you actually speaking onto yourself, because this is the land of the Prester John, man, of the priest Khan, of the Grand Khan. So as we get ready to exodus out of this paradigm, what is Exodus talking about, right? It's a military expedition, a solemn procession, a departure. It could mean death, or it just could be a literal going out. Going out. Here we're back to way. And what was way? A spiritual choice, right? Way was a habit, a way of life, spiritual choices. So due to our spiritual choices, due to us searching for Anion, we're now about to jump on our exodus. And this is how we do this, right? This is our way. our path, our journey. This is how the Israelites will depart from said Egypt. We're just breathing Anian, right? We're just still talking Anian. We're just in the vibration of Anian because you've been on this journey with me this whole time. Shabbat on this journey with us this whole time. And this whole time, this journey has been leading us to the Wata, that is Anian. We're still talking about a way, one's path in life. We're just talking about what's to shine. To shine. Come on out here and shine with natural on the Anian flow, because you are the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa. You've been on this journey with me since day one. Hala Hawa. Hala Hawa to the real ones, man. Because we've been on this course. And this course is the onward movement. I told y'all, right? I told y'all we never looking back. Our motion is forward, a forever running, going forward. It's a running flow, all right? The flow of a stream, the order, the sequence of things, habitual, ordinary procedure, the ordinances, the way of life. Anian, it's a way of life. It is your natural power. Anian is your natural power. Allahu Akbar. I think I know where the Prester is. I think we finally found the Prester, man. A stream, a course of water. A body of water flowing in a natural channel. To flow. Stream. Ain't that what we doing? Stream. So us streaming together is leading us to the Anian. Us building this journey together and running this marathon together is bringing us to the Anian. We're surfing the wave to Anian. You know, and the hijack likes to add their meanings and add their twisted things, and it just continues to show their hand because it's not the same vibration. No matter how much they want to say so and attach themselves, it's not the same vibration. You know what I'm saying? Because they tried to say river. And when you do the etymology on the term river, it leads to this term, riparian. Riparian. It says of a riverbank or shore. And then immediately it says it means to break. It means to break that which is cut out by the river. Cut out. You see how we keep coming back to these same terms? Cut out, cut off, to break, to scratch, tear, to cut, to break, to tear apart. They attach the vibration of river to this, and this is how they hijack, man. This is how they do it. Which is why I say everything is vibration. Choose your vibration. Speak that life, man. Speak that life. Because when we're digging on Ion, what is Ion, man? Ion means to go. To go. We're on the go. We're on the go. So-called because ions move toward the electro of opposite charge, nigga. Of opposite charge, nigga. Oh, we wanted to get some elemental talk? Then let's get to this elemental talk, because we still breathing ions. So let's get to this elemental talk. We on the magic ether bus. Alright, I had to bring you through vibration so that now we understand just what's being said. Shalom to the real ones. Cause see, when we're really digging on ions, and when we're really trying to talk about going up, your melanin, well, hell, your melanin was meant to intake all of that ionic energy to go up. And we'll come back to revisit this. But I want to let it sit on your mind bone as you meditate on the very fact that Natural's been telling you this whole time. The good bro has been telling us this whole time. Allahu. Yeah, it's time to go up, Shabbat. We only gonna go up from here on out, Shabbat, because we're digging on words. Digging on words, we have words like an agonist. An agonist is a chemical that activates a receptor to produce a biological response. Receptors are cellular proteins whose activation, remember I told you, you can't activate this just because you look like this. You got a KTC. So whose activation causes the cell to modify what it is currently doing. In contrast, an antagonist blocks the action and the agonist, while an inverse agonist causes an action opposite to that of the agonist. All right, and it's almost as if the term antagonist, like, yo, right? And the agonist is the positive effect. It is the activation. It activates the receptor. You have melanin receptors. All right, you have melanin receptors. All right, this ligon. All right, which means to bind. Now, I told you to keep that term in mind, right? To bind. Because this is literally the frequency, the vibration of Anian. Binding on to that positive. Or technically the negative ion, right? Because we're digging on the negative energy, that naga energy. All right? And your melanin is a receptor. So when you're activated in the way that you need to be, you are able to intake all that you need so that we can go up, so that you can go up. All right, because the hydrogen anion, all right, the hydrogen anion, we getting specific in what we're saying. Is an important constituent, is an important constituent of the atmosphere of stars such as the sun. All right. Now, if your melanin absorbs the entire electromagnetic spectrum, then things like electromagnetic force should start to come at some type of convergence. Because the anion is just to go up. So this is just the hydrogen or the wata that takes you up. This wata is just going to take you up. And what I've been telling you about the ether is in the upper air. The upper air. I happen to be born a so-called Gemini. I'm always talking about air. It's just something that's within me. Of the air. High sky society, man. Anion is of the air, up. And I think that's where the pressure is too. I think the pressure is up. All right. build on this. I want to get a better build on this electronegativity or electronegativity. Alright. This electronegativity. Let's see if we can get it. Is there something that explains this electronegativity? It says, on the most basic level, electronegativity is determined by factors like the nuclear charge. The more protons an atom has, the more pull it will have on electrons, and the number and location of other electrons in atomic shells. The more electrons an atom mass has, or an atom has, the farther from the nucleus the valence electrons will be. As a result, the less positive charge they will experience, both because of their increased distance from the nucleus and because of the other electrons in the lower energy core orbitals will act to shield the valence electrons from positively charged nucleuses. Okay, so basically it responds to whatever you're in need to or you're in motion with. Alright, so if the ion is moving up, or if the atom is moving up or needs to move up, that means it's attracted toward what's negative, meaning you already have all this positivity in you, right? So you go toward what's negative. And only in this example, it's negative energy, which is really something positive. Negative ions or negative ions are actually a positive thing. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and dig on this a little bit more, of course, but we still want to talk about the vibration of Anion, right? As you see the term Ani, and look at all the words dealing with Anion, right? Ani, it just means to breathe. That is Hawa. So we're talking about that Wata, that breath. Alright? We're talking about the wind, the breath, the rational soul, the mind, life, mental powers, consciousness, responsibility, or sensibility, courage, desire, the living being, the soul, the mind, disposition, passion, courage. Alright? All of these things, the breath, the soul, all of this dealing with Anion, speaking life unto one another. Anion. Shalom with the press to flow, To breathe. Because you are the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa. Alright? When we're talking about the image of Hawa, there's some good. Look, we got this drop up here. We got any of that drop? I don't think so. Alright, we got some. Alright, facts. Because when we're digging on the image of Hawa, right? We're just digging on God. What's the first thing that pops up? When you're talking about God, it is the image of Hawa. So you see, I'm trying to tell you, the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa. Alright? That is the image of the Most High. And this is actually why they don't have a breakdown for what God is, because it can only be mirrored by the image. Alright? I mean, because they can say another word. You know, they can say another word. That word easily would be dog. Because God is literally dog backwards, right? And we understand that there's always been this connection between man and dogs. Alright? I mean, just, you dig on the term yourself. Alright? You dig on the term yourself, right? When you digging on this, it gets crazy. It gets crazy. When you dig on this on your own, it gets crazy. Okay, so all of these different attributes that's tied to a type of man, no doubt. But we know the dog isn't the root word, right? Because the ancestor of the dog was what? The wolf. Okay, but look at what wolf mean. And we're talking about the ancestor of the dog. Now I know a lot of y'all are some wolf warriors. I get it. No shot to you. But only head dogs holler. We don't do the dog heads over here. Alright, but the wolf. You see what's going on? As in the werewolf, the wolf man, the harlot, all of this energy goes into the wolf, right? Wolf. So we know why they not the image of Hawa. And why they won't say it, they can't. It's just like that. You know, because I tried surfing the wave. But, you know, when I put in the root word for dog, since they tell you they don't know where dog come from. It's a rare word. They tell you they don't know where dog come from. Its origin remains one of the great mysteries of the English etymology. But it's because of it having human connections. Because the original is the wolf. So how'd you get from the wolf to the dog? How'd you get from the wolf to the dog? And then looking up the word, I'm just surfing the wave on the word, right? Canis, because I'm looking for it, and I come across basket, right? But it leads me to a basket for bread, and look at the word. I mean, we can't make this up. Now, not to say that's the same thing, but now we're digging on dogs and Cain, and it gets ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? Talking canine, you know what I mean? So they can't say, oh, the image of a wolf, that's as far as it goes. Alright? That's as far as it goes. Because these frequencies, these terms don't lead back to them the way it lead back to you. When we're digging on world, again, we're talking about the affairs of life, just like Way was, right? Just like Anian was. We're talking about the age of man. World being man, to grow, to nourish. Life on earth. Alright, the known world. We're talking about an age of man. Alright, notice how this werewolf is attached to it. See how we back to that? Werewolf, look at that. Connecting with man, right? So out of the world come these different lights. also meaning abode, right? Abode, as in what? Like home, right? The seed of man. Age. All right, continuing to press it on. We're dealing with home. Now, why is this important? Real quick, right? Why is this important? Because where is heaven? Heaven is the home of God. The home of God. So if you're the image of God, where do you think the home of God is? The home of God, right? So now we're dealing on home. We got where the home of Prester John was, Anian. So now we're digging on the home of God. That is the dwelling place, the abode, right? The fixed residence, the village or the country, the home to be settled in, to dwell in, right? The home. Where's the home? Heaven is what? The home of God, right? Heaven is the home of God. And if you're the image of Hawa, then where is the home of God? Where is heaven? Heaven would have to be in Enion. Enion. To go up. For it is vital. Belonging to life, right? Belonging to life. Manifesting life, right? Manifesting life. To live. I'm talking aeon. Aeon, just another form of saying eon, right? Aeon, immeasurable time. Immeasurable time, from where the immeasurable hidden one comes from, that Hawa, immeasurable period of time, immeasurable eon, right? Eon just means age, vital force. We're talking life force. Eon or ion, eon or ion, aeon, right? Life, vital force, long life, eternity. When we was digging on cosmos, right? When we was digging on cosmos, it was talking about the universe of the world, Cosmos also meant age. Age, literally age. Eons, ions, Anian. Cosmic, right? Of this world. We're still talking to you, Aqua, of this world. Ion, aeon, eons. Alright? The harmonious system of laws. Anion. Alright? Anion. Constituent. Right? One who appoints or elects a representative to appoint, to set up, to place and establish. That's the same word as cosmos. To establish. All right. So a constituent. Because all we're talking about are elements. Earth, air, fire, or water. One of the four things. Pay attention to the hijack, right? One of the four things regarded by the ancients as the constituents of all things. elements, man. The rudiment first principle, matter in most basic form, the simplest component of a complex substance. Origin in original sense unknown. Element, meaning proper or natural environment of anything. That's why natural's always talking elements to you. And anion is your natural power. Anion is your natural power, your atmospheric force. And anion means to go up. To go up, my naga. Hydrogen being the gene of Wata, being the gene of Wata, so that anion negative energy is in your genes through the Wata, that negative energy, that anion energy is in your genes, your genetics. It is in your genetics, Shabata. The anion is within you. The anion is within you. All right. They have this process, right? And I want to touch on it before we get up out of here. But they have this process electrolysis. Electrolysis right, is a technique that uses direct electrical current to drive other non-spontaneous chemical reactions. And this is what's going on, because they're using the negative anions or ions, and it's being combated or opposed with a form of opposition called cations. And I cannot make this up, Shabata. It's called cations. All right, right here, electropositive and electronegative. All right. It's crazy what's going on, but it's called cations, okay? And these cations is what weigh you down, and that's exactly what the term means, cations. And it's a part of this electrolysis process. This is where I got the amber from, because I looked it up and I saw, damn, this is going back to some Tartarian shit because of the amber. Right? And it means dissolution. So we just got that we couldn't be dissolved. All right? So they're dealing with, let's see if we can get in real time. Look. They're dealing with these ionic charges, but at the same time, they're combating it. So if you look at right? Cathode, which is a positively charged ion. A positively charged ion. And then they have cathode, right? negatively charged electrode. So it seeks to find its opposite. And that's how this works. So if I put what's the opposite of, look at this, right? But it's crazy because it's Caucasian. Almost like Caucasian. Alright. But if we put in let's see this, right? What? Oh, look, is the opposite of vacation. And look at what it says. The opposite of vacation are anions. See what's going on? So the anions are your negative ions. They are negatively charged because they have gained one or more electrons and therefore have more electrons than protons. So that's interesting when we're looking at the periodic table, right? Because when we're looking at the periodic table, look at where hydrogen is. And what this means is that it's easier for hydrogen to go up. So all of these elements right here, look at carbon. All right, pay attention to oxygen. Look at all these elements. They're seeking to go up. The higher they are on the table, the more they want to go up. Anything up here, all it wants to do is just go up. It just wants to rise to the top. It just wants to rise to the top. And this is why, what did I tell you about that video on the periodic table, man? Somebody tell Terrence Howard we ready to tribe up. What did I tell you? What did I tell you in that video, man? That Terrence Howard was right? We don't want to be in the box no more. It's over for that. Shalom to the real ones. Vacation wants to hold you down and bring you down here. But the anion, it wants to take you up. It just wants to take you up. Shabbat. Man, what a flow. We cannot make this up. That's why all these elements are at the top. They just want to rise up because they're anions. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So shalom to the real ones. I hope this has been informative. We just been surfing the wave and anion vibration frequency. What a wave. We're going to ride out. Shalom. This is Dr. Blair, Melanin Wars. Dr. Blair, Melanin Wars. Max Ahab to the tribe. Tawa Da for surfing the wave. Another marvelous, beautiful flow right here with Joe. We did it again, Shabbat. Until next time.
People who have melanin have been told that everything in the body is governed by the brain, and that every reaction in every system is brain governed, and that is wrong. Melanin acts independently. It is capable of instantaneous reaction to energy fields without being processed through any of the neuron synapses and dendrite stems of the brain. In other words, it acts as a chlorophyllin carrier. It takes energy, reacts to it, and processes its own information to its nearby cells. That's why you can get, again, those beautiful moves of the Michael Jordans, those cuts and so by the football players, and those immediate reactions, because you can't stop and think. They have to train people without melanin or with little melanin to react. People with melanin react anyway because it's like what they showed on the black Buddhas. You have eyes everywhere. You are totally conscious. and you don't wait for brain processing, which slows it down. We'll prove this to you in the classes because you can inflict pain, and if you have your mind off somewhere, it'll take sometimes up to 15 seconds before you feel the pain. And you can even delay that longer if you're trying to offset pain by merely mind control. They don't teach you, though, with melanin, you can make that instantaneous reaction, or you can delay it up to 30 seconds, or you cannot even get to feel it at all by simply using certain ways with melanin and ingesting certain foods and herbals. Melanin is a gift from the gods. With melanin, you can speed up your healing process in half. And if you really get into a strong magnetic field, nothing to do with the electricity, which hurts you in the main, you can be even cut that into a third. You can see into the body without using anode-cathode ray bombardments, if you have melanin, by using magnetic fields. One of my favorite people coming in there again, Brother Lilly. Brother William Lilly, hello there. Gotta say hi to you. This is a man who has helped me a great deal when I've come in here to New York. First time he's attended one of my lectures. I'm very happy about that. Once you begin to use this kind of energy in this fashion again, per se, you can speed up everything that your body does and everything that your brain does. You can even speed up the kind of energy and frequencies that normally you're attuned to that come in to your body and into your brain. This makes you a god. What is a god? I'm not going to go into all of that because that's a long thing, but any race of people or any individual that begins to do the supernormal that everyone else is not usually able to do is looked upon as a wondrous avatar or person. People want to worship people. You shouldn't worship any person, really. No person should be worshipped. No person should be envied. Respected, studied, watched, emulated if what they're doing is good. That's as far as it takes, because you too are gods. How do I know it? You have melanin. All the history of the gods that came from various places, advanced scientists, advanced races of all description, from lizard-looking creatures to snake-looking creatures, from little short ones to very tall ones, 30 feet tall. The bones are still on our earth to prove that they did live here at one time in physical form. All were amazed at the most advanced people in our galaxy, what they had done with a certain issue of people here by giving them melanin, the gift of the gods. That's why you're being buzzed now with all kind of UFOs. I know Bobby Hibbert talking about the mothership and so, but they got motherships of all descriptions around here, good and bad. Some you don't want to get near. Don't even want to get within 50 miles of them, if you can avoid it. And others, you want to run and embrace, and if they weren't around, you'd have been annihilated a long time ago. But we'll see about that. We talk it and break it down in our classes. Government's well aware. Well aware. In fact, they've even built about 33 of them themselves, and I don't know how long, because that was last year, as they are now trying to get into photon drive and so. But your gift is that at the highest degree of the cultivation of melanin throughout the pigments of the cells, endodermal and ectodermal, bloodstream, and so, each of those glands is then able to reach its highest vibration and loose what is called the astral body. The real time ago, but we'll see about that. We talk it and break it down in our classes. Government's well aware, well aware. In fact, they've even built about 33 of them themselves, and I don't know how long, because that was last year, as they are now trying to get into photon drive and so. But your gift is that at the highest degree of the cultivation of melanin throughout the pigments of the cells, endodermal and ectodermal, bloodstream, and so, each of
Psychologists have discovered that procrastination isn't caused by laziness or lack of motivation, but instead
those glands is then able to reach its highest vibration and loose what is called the astral body. The real mothership, as I said before in one of my lectures, the cultivation of melanin throughout the pigments of the cells, endodermal and ectodermal, bloodstream, and so, Each of those glands is then able to reach its highest vibration and loose what is called the astral body.